Yes, yes, we are here. We are here for another Magnetic Mind Masterclass. We're just waiting on some people. I'll give you another couple of minutes to log in. Yes, I've had a haircut. And yes, it might be the first time you've seen me cleanly shaven as well. It's not a usual thing that I do, but I've decided I'm going to change it up a bit. And this is the look. This is the look, and I hope you enjoy the new look. I'm enjoying it. I've got a big, hey, how is everyone doing? Yes, it's been beautiful here. The weather has been outstanding. It's actually my favorite time of year here in Byron Bay. It's really, really stunning, really beautiful. And I'm really, really enjoying it. Okay, so we're going to give it another minute. Like Andy. There's Lucia. All right, everyone. So I'm going to start. We're going to start, but it's a really cool session. So it's the beginning again. Let me start all of that again. What I want to do was do a lesson today on the unconscious, the superconscious, and the superconscious recode. So we're going to have a brilliant evening. We're going to refresh you on some stuff, and we're going to go through a recode process at the end, which is going to be incredibly powerful. Now, just remembering that you are the creator of your own life. You are not broken and you don't need fixing. In fact, the idea of needing to fix yourself is going to create more problems than you could actually imagine. And the great news is within the Magnetic Mind Masterclass, we teach you how to get into the creative orientation. And this new orientation allows you to create whatever you would like in life with absolute ease and predictability. See, we've been taught our whole life to respond to the circumstances we find ourselves in. Our whole lives. You know, if you react or respond or fix or improve, then the determining focus point of our attention is those circumstances. Once those problems are solved, what is left? You see, what is left when we give the power to those problems, we solve all those problems, what is left? You see, when we're in this particular orientation for living instead, problem solving instead of creating, when we have no problems left, because we have been programming ourselves for so long, we just go and find more problems. And in some cases, we create more problems, and we do this unconsciously. We can unconsciously set up problems, and this is a place that many people are in, and it's very unconscious to them. And instead, what we want to do is we want to shift to a place where the main organizing principle in your life is your choices. Yeah, we are creating choices. We want to shift to a place where the main organizing principle in your life is your choices. See, the core of creating your life is the creative process. Now, the creative process is not positive thinking, not problem solving, adopting the right beliefs, therapy, self-esteem, changing or fixing yourself. It is not psychic tricks to trick the world, not willpower or overcoming barriers. The creative process has only one outcome: to create the results you desire. The creative process has only one outcome, and that is to create the results you desire. Now, there are three main parts of the process. One is the mechanics, so what we actually do. Two is the orientation, right? So we become it now. And three is the creative spirit. And this is expressing your true nature and purpose. The creative process is a journey to the end result. It's the entire process. Okay, it's not, you don't just start here and then jump to there. It is a process where right now is just an earlier version of the next part and the next part until you get to the end and you create the end result. So you must know, one, where are you starting from? So what's it like now? And we must be truthful about this. We have to be absolutely truthful and honest with ourselves. Where am I starting from? What's it actually like now? And then the second point in creation is where you would like to end up. Like, where do you want to be? This will give you two critical data points. This creates the structure and this creates the tension, right? It creates the tension between these 2 points that wants to resolve itself. Everywhere in the universe, tension is always resolving itself. It happens all the time. And this is the nature of the universe. So where you place your focus creates the structure, and then the structure creates the end result. So if you're focusing on problems and you're in a problem-solving structure, you will never ever get to resolve that structure because you'll always have more problems to solve. Or your problems become the main focus, and so you get more of them, or the actual problems that you have amplify. So think about your life as an artist focusing on the end result, aware of the current reality and making strategic actions toward completing it. Let your desires be the object of your choices. Let what it is that you would truly love to have be the object of your choices. See, we need to learn to think about our goals and then notice where we are and then take strategic action and bring it to a satisfactory conclusion, to resolving the tension. See, when we're in the problem-solving orientation, what ends up usually happening is we go, well, we've got a problem here, we want to be out here. And we create the tension, but instead of focusing out here, we focus on the problem. So we just get more of the problem. We don't focus on what's out here. Okay, and the only way to resolve that tension is that we let go of the desired outcome through focusing on the problem. And then we get to be right about it, you know, or we make up stories about it. Lots and lots of stories about why you can't sort it out, or why you can't fix this, or I can't seem to work it out. And, You know, sometimes we blame external things. You know, it's the job, it's my boss, or it's the relationship, or, you know, we externalize and give the power away to external things as well. So like most don't go for what they want. They only go for desires and goals based on their circumstances or based on what they think is possible. Asking yourself, what do I want, is not as easy as it sounds. So in my experience, most people don't know the actual difference between what it is that they would truly want, right? The difference between what they would truly want and what it is that would make the difference for them in their life. So they think what they want is actually going to make the difference when it actually isn't. So knowing what you want is actually a skill. Knowing what you want is a skill. And we develop this skill through practice, like any other skill. You got to practice it, and you got to practice and practice. So throughout the Magnetic Mind course, you'll start, and we suggest to you strongly to start with daily practices that will give you the skill you need to create your big goals, your morning ritual, your lenses. This is the muscle building in the creative process. So another working premise of the Magnetic Mind course divides the mind into separate areas. And I want to talk to you about the separate areas of the mind that we use, so that we can delineate and have a framework in which we can work with. Now, the act of defining dimensions of consciousness should not be seen as a theory of consciousness. And I need to make that clear. We do not propose that such areas of dimensions even exist. Only that if you approach your mind as if they existed, you can more easily produce the results you choose. Okay? So we'll be working with three major dimensions of the mind: the self-conscious and the unconscious, and of course the superconscious. Now, the self-conscious is the rational mind. It's our thinking brain, it's our conscious mind. It makes decisions. We can focus and concentrate with it. It discriminates. It separates and divides and makes definitions about things. It analyzes and thinks and reasons, and it makes choices. See, choice is one of the most important functions of the self-conscious mind, for it is through your simple everyday choices and self-conscious decisions that you give direction to the course of your life, right? The choices that you self-consciously make are the single most important act toward creating the life you want. This course, the Magnetic Mind Masterclass, focuses on your personal power so that your choices have a much greater probability of happening. All right? Now, the superconscious is a traditional term for an aspect of our consciousness which seems to exist above and beyond the limitations normally assumed by the self-conscious mind. The superconscious has been called by many other names, such as the higher self, inner teacher, the creative inspiration, the voice within, etc. All of these terms have been used to suggest a quality of consciousness above and beyond the self-consciousness. So we're working directly with the superconscious dimension. Okay. Now, the unconscious really is the key to the mind's power, though. So one of the most important activities is establishing and maintaining rapport with the unconscious mind. The unconscious is truly the key to the mind's power. The unconscious is that part of the consciousness which is in operation below the normal self-conscious waking state of awareness. The mechanism of the unconscious is vast. The power from and through this area of consciousness is quite simply fantastic. The unconscious maintains a clear picture of every event of your life and every thought you have ever possessed. Many studies have been conducted that demonstrate that the unconscious retains a wealth of information that is beyond what is remembered on a self-conscious level. In fact, many things that were not perceived on a self-conscious level were recorded in the unconscious in great detail. Now, the unconscious works deductively. The unconscious, using this wealth of recorded information, draws conclusions from what is available. In a sense, it does not have, nor can it have, thoughts of its own. It is the responsive part of our consciousness. So it continually brings the past into the future, or into the current, past into the current, and brings it in always, and compares and works out whether it's safe or not. So your unconscious attracts what it concludes. The conclusions reached by the unconscious tend to be created in our life experience. To say it in a nutshell, the unconscious has the ability to manifest what it concludes. Remember, this idea is being used as a working premise, okay? And for the Magnetic Mind Masterclass, approach your mind as if this were so. Now, the unconscious responds to your self-conscious direction. So, your decision-making and your choices, your unconscious, it listens to everything and it says yes to everything. So you're in a continual process of giving the unconscious direction. In that, the unconscious takes all input as direction. It is important to give the unconscious clear, strong suggestions. An often asked question is, if the unconscious tends to manifest what it concludes, if I'm always telling it what I want, then why don't I have what I want more of the time? And the answer is this: we contradict ourselves. And now another way of putting it is that we're giving contradictory suggestions to the unconscious. Most of our contradictions lie in two categories. First one is concern with failure, and second is considerations of the actual process rather than the result. Okay? So we contradict. We give contradictory suggestions to the unconscious that are either concerned with failure or considerations of the process of getting there rather than the result. So when you want a result, you consider all of the problems involved with getting the result. The unconscious may conclude that you want the result, but there are problems in getting what you want. Then the problems in getting what you want also become part, okay, of the suggestion to the unconscious. So it's really important to give the unconscious clear, strong suggestions, okay, and then let the unconscious create the process that brings the result into reality. Considerations of process may also limit the way in which a goal can come into your reality. People are often amazed at the unusual ways in which results come about when they do not limit the possibilities of how something can happen. So, if we get attached to a way that something is going to happen, it doesn't happen that way, or it doesn't happen in the way that we think it will. And many of us can get quite upset or confused, or we may even just drop the ball and think that it's not actually happening. So this doesn't mean that all goals will manifest in an unusual way, but by giving the unconscious clear, strong suggestions of what you choose, the desired result may be created more effectively and easily. I want you to hear this. An important key in tapping the vast and great power of the unconscious is the technique of focusing on the results, not the process of how to produce those results. I'll say it again, an important key in tapping the vast and great power of the unconscious is the technique on focusing on the results, okay? Not on the process of how to produce those results. This is why we're constantly going in the morning, getting up, creating, choosing your core 4 choices and your other choices, visualizing, creating the feeling of having the end result. We don't instruct you to go, what's the process, and look at the process, because you don't know. Okay? So the unconscious always says yes, no matter what. The unconscious will always say yes to all of your input. So this is an important principle. Here's an example of this mechanism. Okay, so John decides he wants a car. His unconscious says, yeah. Then John begins to consider how to get the car. That is, or i.e. the process. He begins to consider how hard it is to finance the car. His unconscious says yes, and receives a suggestion that it is hard to finance cars. This becomes a contrary suggestion to the original desire, which is having the car. Then John begins to think cars nowadays are overpriced. Unconscious says yes. And taxes, insurance, and other costs of a car are terrible. And his unconscious says yes. And the cost of gas. Now, John has given his unconscious all of these juicy suggestions that there are many problems in getting and having a car. John's unconscious may deduce, yeah, that he wants a car, but that cars are hard to get and there are a lot of things wrong with having a car. The result of overemphasis on the how or the process can limit the ability to create the result, because too much consideration of the how is also a suggestion to the unconscious. The more effective approach is to make clear, strong suggestions to the subconscious based on your choices. Then let the unconscious organically create the process. Okay? This does not mean that you should never consider the process, only that by effectively using the unconscious, the best process will occur naturally. Just will. Results sometimes come in ways which are unusual, and sometimes results manifest in unusual ways. Okay? Results sometimes come in ways which are usual, and sometimes results manifest in unusual ways. The principle is to not limit the way a result might occur. Okay? Just to limit the way a result might occur. When you worry about a result or overanalyze the process of how to produce a result, you are giving your unconscious a contradictory suggestion, which limits your ability to create what it is that you choose. One of the most effective ways of teaching the unconscious to be more responsive is by choosing and working with a goal. The goal acts as a focus for the unconscious, directing its responsive creative power. Since the most important effect of choosing a goal is to increase the responsiveness of the unconscious, it is not that important what goal you choose. Okay? And here are the basic guidelines to choosing a goal. So 1 is you pick something you want. 2, the goal should not involve any other specific person. Any other specific person, it doesn't involve it. It can involve other people, but not specific individuals. There are 2 very important reasons why this is so. It is unethical to try mentally to impose your will upon others. This would have the effect of stopping your growth, and your abilities would diminish. And secondly, you will not be able to impose your will mentally on others. Everyone has their own will. If you try to impose your will mentally on others, They will, on some level, they will perceive this. They will tend to resent you for imposition. They may or may not know why they are resenting you, but they feel the innate impulse to resist your efforts. 3, the goal should be something tangible, something fairly specific. If your goal is too vague, too general, or not clearly defined, the unconscious has a difficult time understanding what you want. 4th thing is the goal may be material or non-material. It doesn't matter as long as you can recognize the goal when you have achieved it. Form your goal in the present tense. You should state that the goal as if you already have it. Okay, an example, I have the perfect job versus I'm going to get a perfect job. Make sure your goal is a result that you want, not a process towards some result. Sometimes requires some clever thinking. And the last one, 7, is it's not what the goal is, it's what it does. So what would having that goal do for you? The goal teaches the unconscious to respond to your self-conscious choice. You can't stress enough the importance of this statement. Consequently, the goal you choose tonight is not a monumental decision. The goal is functional. Okay, it builds responsiveness of the unconscious. Working with one goal simply increases the tendency of all goals to happen. Got it? Okay, just going to have a little stretch. It's pretty heady, pretty wordy, but it's really, really important that we get a real understanding of the unconscious and how powerful it is and how it's so crucial that we give it the right instructions and we choose goals that are clear and concise, because the unconscious just simply says yes. But let's just have a stretch. Oh, neck, a little bit of movement. Now, the next thing we're going to do, I'm just going to quickly talk to you about the recode. Then we're going to do choose an end result. I'm going to do a quick little bit of work called circle work. We're going to do a victim versus genius circle, which some of you may have done before, and then we're going to do a recode. Okay. So the recode, you can use the superconscious to treat and change any resistance you have to an end result you would like to manifest. And we do this by using the recode process. When we are using the creative structure, we trigger resistance up into the active experience through structural tension. It's a normal, natural thing. You want to create something new, suddenly resistance comes up. Oh, I don't know if I can do it. It might be a bit too hard. Or, you know, I need more resources, or whatever it is. That is very normal and natural thing to do. Okay, your active experience, right, is everything you're consciously and unconsciously experiencing right now, right this moment. It's made up of thoughts, feelings, memories, desires, people, situations, and more. A recode works by changing all the instructions causing resistance. This allows a different action to be taken. A good way to explain this is to think about an end result you have not been able to manifest. Imagine it being at the end of a road. Because of past actions, the road is in disrepair and cannot be driven on. You notice potholes and they stop you being able to move forward. What needs to happen? You need to fix the road. Luckily, because you created all the resistance or potholes, you can easily fix or change them. And as soon as you do, you can easily move toward what you desire. Put in a different way, your superconscious will remember how these potholes came into existence, and in the perfect way and perfect order, will fill them in and smooth them over, allowing you to move easily to your end result. How much you acknowledge and change resistance is up to you. The process is about creating results you desire, not being perfect. However, if that old pattern is in the way of what you desire, I suggest getting new information. The old information was valid and it was useful at a particular time, but it's not useful anymore. You can be amazing with a sword, but it's useless in a gunfight, right? Yellow pages might have helped you find a dentist in the past, but now you can just go online and search for one. But it doesn't matter how useful the original was. The question is, will it help you in the future? I think of resistance like a vampire sucking the life out of what we want to create. As soon as we shine a light on, it evaporates into nothingness. With the superconscious recode, you can recode any resistance in your identity to having what you desire. You can be it so you can see it. You don't need to change your whole self. You don't need to fix your past or try to be perfect. You simply need to focus on what you desire and notice what is in the way. Once you determine what is in the way, you can connect to your superconscious and change the coding. So good. So good. I like to say that this process is like having a river of desire. At the end of the river is a land of plenty with everything you would love to see manifest. And you are in the current reality of the current in the river. As you're moving toward what you desire, some boulders pop up and stop the flow of the river, making it impossible for you to flow to what you desire. These boulders can be easily removed by remembering when they were useful and choosing to smooth them over. Or roll them away so that new flow can happen. This process is very easy and gentle, and you'll experience profound shifts using it. Occasionally, the resistance is too much to move on in one session, okay? So there is too much of the identity caught up in it. It's like there's a huge boulder the size of a car in the way of the end result. So instead of trying to remove it all in one go, we simply ask the superconscious to recode a small part over multiple sessions, pardon me, until there's no resistance left. In this case, you let your superconscious know how to chisel a piece off and remove a little part at a time. After a few sessions, the whole boulder is removed. There is no need to rush. You know a recode has worked when what was stopping you from moving towards your end result is no longer a problem. We're not sitting still, asking what is wrong with us and trying to fix that. Instead, we are in momentum, moving towards a result that we would love, and we are aligning with that. So in this process, you get to be a creator. You get to have it all and be in love with creating more things you love. This is the reason why we're on this planet, to experience our creative energy and to witness ourselves creating. You are always creating and always have been. Now you are just taking control of that function. So cool. So who's ready? Who wants to do a recode? Who wants to do a recode? All right, so we're gonna do the process. So what I want you to do first is to get out a pen and paper, or you can just type in on your computer or your mobile phone. What is a choice that you would like to create, or what is something you would like to create that you haven't seen manifest yet? And I want you to write that choice down. So what one thing would you love to create that you haven't seen manifest yet? And just type a 1 in the chat box when you've done that. Just remembering we're not problem solving. We're not trying to get away from something. Okay. So you can either type it in the, if you're unsure, just type it in the chat box and we can workshop that and tease out the real choice if that needs to happen. Okay. So what I want you to do, we're going to do it a bit different today. So the first thing we're going to do, and I want you to have your pen and paper ready. Now, if you haven't done this before, some of you might remember circle work. So what we're going to do is we're going to define ourselves. Okay, we're going to define ourselves firstly as a victim. So not a victim in the sense of, you know, what we may think of it, you know, someone who has been victim to something, like something awful. In this sense, and it might be the case, but in this sense, it is victim, meaning from your egoic limitation. So your limiting beliefs and your sabotage patterns and all the things that are in the way. So what you're going to do, you're going to pretend to put a circle around yourself. So you're going to draw a circle around yourself and just say to yourself, this is a victim. You are a victim. And you define yourself as a victim. And once you've done that, I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to think about this end result as a victim, from your victim perspective. I want you to choose this end result from your victim perspective. And I want you to notice what that's like. I want you to notice all the beliefs, all the judgments, all the limitations, all the things that come up when you think about this true end result as a victim. Now I want you to open your eyes and I want you to write everything that you got. Just write it down. Write down what that felt like, any thoughts that came up, any beliefs, just write it down. And I'll give you a minute to write all of that down. So you might not think that it's actually possible, that I don't know, that you're kidding yourself, or that there might be some conditions that aren't met, like you need more money, or you need this or that, or maybe it's too hard, or maybe you don't think you're capable, or maybe you'll do it later. Yeah. So just write down as much as you can, as many things that came up for you. Another 20 seconds. Now, don't worry if you haven't written everything down. All right, back to me. So now what we're going to do is you're going to scrub out the victim circle. You're literally going to scrub it out. And now you're going to draw a new circle as a genius. I'm a great genius in my greatness. Define myself as genius. And now just closing your eyes, and I want you to choose this end result, only this time as the genius, in your greatness as a genius. I choose the end result of. Just breathing into that. I choose the end result of as your genius and greatness. I want you to just notice how the difference, and notice that feelings that come up. Notice how your beliefs may have shifted and changed. Notice that your posture may have changed. Notice when you think about this end result, true choice is your genius, and from your great genius perspective, notice how it's really possible. In fact, you could do that probably really, really easy. Now coming back, that was awesome. It felt really good. And I want you just to write down the feelings you had when you chose you made your true choice, your true end result from your genius and your greatness perspective. Just write down. I felt empowering, or freedom, or warmth, or your heart opened. Believe that you deserve this, and you can actually do it, and you can have it. Maybe you pictured yourself with people experience that end result. And just write everything that came down. And I'll give you another minute to do that. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. So where are you right now in relation to where you want to be? Where are you in relation to where you want to be? Then you can write that down. And if you had a magic wand, what would you change? If you literally you had a magic wand and you could just wave it, what would you change? What has been stopping you? Just write down. What do you think's been stopping you? What negative emotions do you experience? What negative emotions do you experience? This next question is a great question. I want you to listen and then write down your answer. What would you have to lose that you value if you were to get what you want? What would you have to lose that you value if you were to get what you want? The last question is, how much resistance is there between where you are now and having that end result completed, having it finished? How much resistance is between here and you having what you want, you getting what you want? So remember, a 10 out of 10 is you're completely stuck. It's just, it'd be like going through brick walls. Zero to a 2 out of 10. I mean, you're completely flowing, and I suggest you choose something else to work on. Now, 5 out of 10 means you believe half of the stuff you've written down, half of that resistance. Does that make sense? And if you're at a 6 or a 7, you know, it's pretty tough going. 4 or 5, 4, 3, you know, you're starting to move. You know that you're getting through that resistance. It's not holding you back, but it's still a little bit going on there. So what's your resistance? And when you're ready, you can type in the chat box. Just give us a number out of 10. And if you don't want to write it, which you should, but if you don't want it, it's all good. Just write an R for resistance in the chat box to let me know that you've got your resistance down. Okay, looks like we're all ready to go. We're all ready to go. Okay, so we're going to do the superconscious recode. So when you're ready, you can close your eyes and just give permission. Just give permission. I give Mick Murphy permission to connect to my superconscious. You can either say it out loud or say it in your mind's eye. And we can begin the process. Superconscious, are you there? Yes. Superconscious, please create the perfect treatment plan for today's session. Superconscious, do you see all the resistance to this end result? Superconscious, we're all parts on the treatment team. Superconscious, please bring forward any parts that have just awoken. These parts be willing to hear the advantages of treatment. So the advantages of treatment are to increase satisfaction and decrease pain, to stop takeovers, to stop hiding information from the main personality, to increase time, and because a mono personality works best. Having heard the benefits of treatment, would you like to join the treatment team? Yeah. Superconscious, please let any other parts know that they will not die through this process. In fact, they'll be kept, their wisdom will be kept and used for a later date. And we're just going to use a little bit of to treat a little bit of the trauma today, and a little bit of the pain, and that'll be turned into wisdom, and parts can return back to the main personality. Is that okay? Yeah. Superconscious, please bring up the resistance that was created by the victim exercise. So please bring up any beliefs created by the victim. all resistance that was created by the beliefs in the victim part of the circle work. Please bring all of that resistance up. And superconscious, please tag and treat and do a massive change history on that resistance. Thank you. Subconscious, please bring up all resistance related to definitions of self, how we define ourselves. Subconscious, please remove any residual resistance in defining ourselves as victim. Any resistance in defining the end result as not true, any resistance in defining self as limited, and do a massive change history and everything is a negative thing. Superconscious, I want you to go back in time, all the way back through the timeline until well before the belief of I'm not allowed, I'm not capable, and I don't belong were created. Go all the way back in the timeline until a time where those beliefs were not created. And any other beliefs that might be creating resistance to this end result. Superconscious, please tag and treat those beliefs and all the resistance associated with them. From right before they were created, all the way back through the timeline to now and out into the future. Perfect order, the perfect amount. Smoothly, efficiently, precisely, and do a massive change history and everything. Thank you. Superconscious, I want you to focus on this end result. I want you to focus on the end result like an archer would be focusing on a target. Like an archer is focusing on a target. And superconscious, as the archer, let that part of us know, let the archer part know that in going after this end result, shooting the arrow may not hit the bullseye. It may not hit the bullseye of the end result. And superconscious to not be attached to hitting the bullseye, but to at least getting the end result. Superconscious, please install the belief that having the end result and the way that the end result shows itself is not set, and that there are several ways, multiple ways in which the end result will be created. Please install this superconscious and do a massive change history. Thank you. Superconscious, please can I talk to the part that doesn't understand the difference between true choices and negative vision. Please bring that part forward, and I want you to let that part know. I want you to let that part know that a true choice is simply a choice about that you would love to create something simply because you would love to create it. And please let that part know that that is their new job, is to simply create choices because you would just love to have them. And please treat and do a massive change history with everything. Thank you. Superconscious, please bring up the genius. Please bring up the great genius in their greatness. And superconscious, choose the end result as the genius and as greatness. And bring up all feelings, emotions, and beliefs that are in alignment with this genius and their greatness and are in alignment with creating this end result. And please install those and amplify those as much as possible. And superconscious, please tag and treat any beliefs, any memories, any resistance associated with events and patterns that are not in alignment and creating resistance to this end result. Do a massive change history. Thank you. Superconscious, please ground the memories we've touched on today, including memories 1, 2, 3. All other memories we've touched on today, and all levels of consciousness, past lives, parallel lives, ego state, shadow states, and any other levels of consciousness that we may have touched on. Please ground them back into the matrix of the universe. And when you're ready, you can come on back. How was that? How was that? Yeah, such a cool session, right? Such a cool session. Very powerful session, that one. And you can type into the chat box. What's your resistance now? What is your resistance now? Nice one. Feel light, charged up, powerful. You are the creative force. 5 to a 3, 7 to a 5, 8 to a 6, 4 to a 1. Awesome. Awesome. So great. So great. Well, thank you, beautiful people. Thank you so much. I love tonight's session. I hope you really enjoyed it. Remember, you can watch it. You can watch as many times as you want in the online university, and I'll be putting it up there in the next day or two until the next session, which will be on Thursday night. I love you all. Stay magnetic. Stay powerful, and bye for now.